One day I was in a track in Austria and I was there with a Astra GTE 16 valves, some of you might know it, and I just liked the rawness of an old car, of a 90s car, 80s actually, that one. And I just was getting sad how the world was going and all these cars getting more and more electronic, more and more automated. And I asked this professional driver that was at the track that day, what is still a car that has rawness? And with all the sports car available that day, when that one. This is the Abarth 595 Trofeo, a 1.4 turbocharged little thing that seems to be a bit of a rocket and a bit of a racing car in disguise. Well, in disguise to a point, because as you turn it on, it gets a bit loud, so you get noticed way too easily. I've deliberately not looked too much into the specs of the car, other than the engine and a few other things. I know it's got 140 horsepower from the factory, although this one has been slightly remapped just to help a bit the use of the turbo. I don't want to know too much. I just want to get in it and see if it's true that it's a raw drive, like that professional driver promised me. Will I enjoy it as if I was back in the 80s? I've never been in the 80s. Will I enjoy it as if I was back in the 90s? I wasn't driving back then, but I've driven cars from then and they feel like you're part of it. Will this do the trick? Let's give it a go. Loud little thing. It immediately gives a sense of sportiness when you're in it. It's loud, it's very loud, more than you'd think from a little mouse. Because it does look like a little mouse. It's like this little cute little car that comes at you with all this noise. I've heard a lot of contrasting opinions on this little Abarth. Some claim they are the most fun, most silly little toys. Others say they're all smoke. I mean, there's a lot of cars that are not fast and they're fun. And that's really what it should all be about. Fun over speed. We don't need to go fast, you know, the roads are what they are. I really do appreciate a car that lets you enjoy the twisty road without having to get your license taken. The clutch is a bit strange. It doesn't quite bite as soon as you want it to bite. It just feels like a long clutch, something you'd find on a city car. The gearbox is also a bit soft, but it behaves. I haven't put it under any stress yet. Now, I never believe the sports button does anything useful, but we'll click it, because, you know, it looks nicer. So we're uphill, third gear, put your foot down, and the turbo picks up. And the noise picks up. Ooh, it pulls. But it jumps at the very first bump on a right gentle corner. It started a strange wobble that made me feel like I was going just slightly too far out on the road. Really interesting, because it felt like it was attached to the ground, but I wasn't. Very odd feeling. Many claim this is too much of a Fiat. But where I come from, Abarth is not a Fiat brand. Abarth was in fact this company made of nutter mechanics that would take Fiats and beef them up to crazy. When I was little, to us, the word Abarth meant mad, meant fast. If you showed up with a cool bike, that was Abarth. It really became part of the everyday terminology, just like Hoover. You know, Abarth was the word for fast and cool. So the attempt of making a new car that still retains that soul, it's pretty cool. I appreciate that. I don't know if somebody who used to own a Fiat Uno Abarth would say this is also an Abarth. Now, I do think there is an element of that in here. I think they have tried to retain that feel. And if I have to go back now to that good old racing driver who recommended me to try this car, I wouldn't say it was completely wrong. Second, the gear didn't quite respond like you would expect. It's a tiny bit too soft when it's under high demand, shifting from third to second after just before a corner just didn't give me the confidence that the gear was in. The ratio is a bit short, but that's not a bad thing on a little car like this. You don't want to take it on a fast road, you don't want to take it on a nippy road with lots of twisty corners. I'd have so much fun in one of these on a mountain road. Oh, my Alps. I do miss the Alps. It's got a good amount of low torque, which would be quite helpful on a gradient. You can tell Italians designed this. This is prepared for tiny, quick roads. Now, I gotta say that the surface of these country roads doesn't really help the car. You can feel it, and it tries to scare you a little bit, which is kind of fun. That's kind of the Abarth spirit. But I don't know, there's just a little detachment between me and the car every time we hit a bump. So, if you live in a place with lots of potholes, this is not the car for you. That said, it's not giving me particularly harsh hits at the back. I feel relatively comfy, I'm quite up straight. The pedals are in a good position, just the clutch is a bit funny. It goes up instead of that way, but the steering wheel is slightly big for the size of the car, but enough talking about what is not perfect. It's not about perfection. We're not here to review a car to say what Abarth should do next. We're here to say whether this is fun to drive and it gives us a good drive. And I think it does. Let's build those brakes. Yeah, it jumps around more than it should. Oh, that was a nice passage. Ooh. You do feel every bump. Actually, there was a really cool thing I've noticed. When there was a couple of corners and big humps on the road where the entire weight of the car came off and then landed again, despite I felt detached to the road, the car behaved very well. I think the main problem with this Abarth 595 is that what you feel as a driver is not as good as what the car is actually doing. The car behaves better than what you feel, which is not ideal for a driver's car. Too often I feel like I'm coming off, I'm rolling over, I'm moving away from the corner and the car goes that way and it pulls me back in. It's like, oh, then the car was doing okay. It's just the feeling that I got on top of it that wasn't quite the same. The feeling that I had on the steering wheel was like, am I still on my line? Am I still doing the right thing? So as a driver, you don't feel as connected, as informed about what your car is doing as much as you would like, but the car is doing the job. We're going to conclude now on a few other things such as the display and the comfort things, and again, I feel quite comfortable. I wish the steering wheel would come more my way. It's a tiny bit too far out and my legs are almost too bent. I want my legs farther away, like more stretched, but then I would be too far from the steering wheel if I simply move my seat back. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the plasticness of it all, and I mean, there is an element to that. It's kind of true. This is literally straight out of a Panda, but So what? I'm here to drive the road, not to look at the indicators. The thing I like the least in this car is the gear stick. It's a bit bulky, it's too tall, it doesn't quite click into the gear as well as I would like. It's too soft. Oh my god, the steering's cornering, the what's it called? The turning circle was terrible. So here we go. We've got a car that is, how much is this, Sam?
8 grand.
New?
Brand new.
What would it have been?
15 grand.
That's not bad. That is not bad for £15,000 to have something this nippy, this fun to drive, and rather performant, you know. We're talking, I know horsepowers have gone out of control now. You know, you have to have the most horsepower as you possibly can. No, you don't. You need the right horsepower, you need the right engine, you need the right power for the right car. I couldn't tell if the second gear was in. I thought I had missed it. Am I gonna hit neutral and it's gonna just rev and I'm not gonna move? Because I didn't feel the clunk. Yeah, it's got it. Woo, woo. It's got it. It's great fun. It's really good fun. Ooh. Oh, what was that?
Cut off. It sounds crashy. It's not that
It's
bad.
not.
It's not that bad.
It's the wheels, isn't it?
Yeah.
So here we are. We have completed our drive with a 595 Trofeo Edition, Edizione Trofeo. What I want to address is what kind of car is this and who is it for? It definitely has a lot to go for in terms of enjoyment. You can definitely have a lot of fun with something like this. It's tiny, it's nippy, it's way too loud and it attracts way too much attention. I find it really hard to compare it to other cars because it's not like most cars. I think it's trying to create an experience of driving that it's all about the smallness and the pleasure to go through little corners and twisty roads. I think if you take it to Wales, to Scotland, or into the Alps in Europe, that's where you're gonna truly enjoy it. Not on lanes, not on A roads, not even on B roads, to be honest. It needs corners, lots of them. But those suspensions needs to be looked at. There's something just wrong with how it responds, how it talks to me. I know this is the 2015 edition. There has been newer cars coming out, newer iteration of it, and they have been probably improved or anyway changed, and I'm sure some of it has been addressed. But I'm talking about the experience we've had today, the drive that we've had today. It has been very good fun, but I didn't feel attached to the road. I was a passenger. I was not part of the car. Now that said, I still have really enjoyed it. There's a lot of little power in that thing in there. It's just so much fun. So if you have one, great. Really go for it and love it. If you don't, think about it. It's not for me, I don't think. Either way, it's been a pleasure to drive you around. Thank you to Sam for bringing the car to us and for helping out with the filming. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.